Good evening, our esteemed viewers. Once again, welcome to the tower at UNN this evening as we try to discuss some issues that are trending within the country, Uganda. My name is Dr. Juko as usual, and I am your host and presenter of the show. As we usually discuss very trending issues, today we have a lot of issues that we are to discuss, and one of them is how the government is using fake laws to take over people's money that they say is dormant in the banks. And also we shall be looking at the issue of the youths going out to look for jobs in the name of working for money. What are the advantages and the problems that they experience there? And finally, we shall look at the presidential speech and we find sense out of it. With me in the studio, I have Mr. Chigonya Herbert, who is an economist. Welcome to the show, Mr. Chigonya.
Thank you, Dr. Prince Juko. I always take them both, Dr. Prince Juko, for having me on the tower this evening.
Chigonya Mutebi, I believe you are in California. How is California down there?
California's weather is similar to that of Uganda. So whatever you go through in Uganda, as far as weather is concerned, is the same as here in California. That's why we love California. We can't go away.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chigonya. It's a pleasure having you. It's your first time here, but I think you have a lot of issues that we'll discuss within here. And I think you'll bring a lot of experience within this discussion. Thank you very much. With me once again in the studio, I have Lawrence Semugoma, our forensic analyst. Mr. Semugoma, you're welcome to this show once again.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Juko. It's always a pleasure being on air with you and all the guests that we bring to discuss all the major trending issues back home and just carrying on the conversation forward, getting solutions, building perspective, and of course, expanding an understanding of how or what exactly is happening down from our motherland. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here this afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. I believe you're in Boston, and I think Boston is doing great down there. I hope Boston is good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Once again in the studio, I have Mr. Kisitu, the economist and the teacher. I wonder whether we have Mr. Kisitu in the studios. Mr. Kisitu, it's a pleasure having you in the studio.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Juko. I take this opportunity to greet all our viewers, and I'm so grateful that today again we are here, such that we can look at the most pressing issues in our country, Uganda, and to devise means of how we can make everything clear. I take this opportunity again to sympathize with those ones who have gotten some challenges in the course of the week, and again to join those ones who have gotten some good things in the course of the week. I just ask God to always bless us with good things. Thank you so much.
This day, the week, how is Uganda now? Thank you, possibly. Let me bring in Mr. Lawrence. Lawrence, The regime is draining all the youths to hard labor but traps their money in fake laws. Before we go to that, would you please try to read us through the training issues that touched your mind this week?
Okay, I think now I'm loud and clear. Yeah, just to get back to you on that question about the training issues this week. Apart from the president's speech, which of course we shall get into later, probably in more detail, let me focus on the international news currently. I was just intrigued by one of the stories about what is happening in Belarus and Poland, where there's a good number of immigrants that actually cannot access any of the two countries to get some kind of relief or settlement as immigrants. And these are people who are coming from all over the world, the Middle East, Africa, but they find themselves in between these two countries that both don't want them. It's been training, especially on RT News. It's been a very, very interesting story since I can't imagine someone being forced out of their country for whatever reasons, economic, political, social, whichever reasons you have. And then you get to a country or a place where you thought you're going to get some refuge, and you end up stuck in between a border of two countries or two borders, whereby none of them can actually take you in. Now, if you look at our track record as Ugandans, we've been probably the most welcoming nation on earth, taking in people from every race, every walk of life. Recently, we just took in refugees from the Middle East, and we've taken so many from all these nations that are around us. But I was just so my interest was just picked there that there are places that are so that are actually in the first world, but are not going to take in any refugees for whatever reasons they have. And of course, they're citing political reasons, that they're just sending the immigrants to their nations just to destabilize these nations. It's that, of course, also begs the question of with the growing number of refugees we have in Uganda per se as a nation, are those going to destabilize us at a certain point? Those are very interesting questions, or questions to ask yourself from what is happening elsewhere, and then you see how other developed nations are handling their immigration issues. But other than that, I don't see anything else that took the wind this week. Everything just seems to be on the slow, apart from maybe locally here we had the People Power first conference, and it was crowned off by a boat cruise. I think it is good that People Power tries to build its international presence, or rather cement it with events like this, such that it can engage its supporters. There was a lot of support that came, especially from out here in Boston, generally all over the US. And this is not to say that EU did less, or Europe did less, or the Middle East did less. I think everybody did their part. But we had our first convention here. It happened yesterday. It was a success. The Secretary General was here, but I think the president elect, or the people's president, His Excellency Bobi Wine, was not able to actually show up for the event for other travel-related reasons. But otherwise, I think the event was a success. A lot was shared, and we hope to see more come out of these engagements after they are organized and people are brought in, and then to share their views and give kind of some shape to the struggle. So that is exactly what happened this week, which I could draw my focus on. Thank you so much, Dr. Jacob.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, my brother Lawrence, for the pleasure, for the insight that you put across. I have Mr. Chigonya. Mr. Chigonya Mutebi, can you please give us your training issues with the week?
Thank you, Prince. First of all, I wanted to first send my warm greetings to everybody watching us from wherever you are, every corner of the world. Thank you for watching us, and please keep on UNN. As a professional banker, what I see going on in Uganda is very abnormal. It's very, very abnormal. In banking, I don't know how these people do their banking now, because what I have heard even that they even expose people's bank's accounts, the balances and what, to some outsiders. Some people just call in and say, I would like to know how much, what is the balance on so and so's account, which is very, very wrong to say, not acceptable in banking. In banking, we always take our customers as the king. And we have, that is very important law which governs any banker, a law of secrecy. You cannot reveal any information on anyone's account. Now to see that these people are just jumping to everybody's account in the name of saying that he has been dormant for some years, I don't think that that is the right. It is very wrong. It is against the banking laws worldwide. Usually what happens is there are some accounts.
Just training issues, because we got to go deep into that. I need your insight on the training issues, right?
Thank you for correcting me. You see, the training issues for me, as I've seen, in fact, the one which I would say is that the outflow of it concerns most of us, the outflow of the youth. You see, when you take the youth out of the country, you are draining the power. The development and every activities of the country and the economy revolves on the youth. If you take the youth out, that means you are draining, you are, I don't know what your intention would be, but it is just to make the economy become nothing. And for that reason, I think we all know that we would not think that what is happening now in everything, especially right now, it is not happening by accident. This is what I want to inform everybody, wherever you are, if you were Ugandan. Whatever is happening now in Uganda, it's not by accident. Everything you see trending, it's a planned thing. Everything we see in Uganda, which is coming, which is there, it's a planned thing. It originates from Museveni's plan, which is working on. And I think right now it seems to be out of maybe time. But whatever training, whatever, anything which you see which is happening, it originates from, he's following his, what he calls, or what is known as the 2C master plan of ruling Ugandans for 50 years. And that one, you can see if you look at the main issues in that plan, you see he is only implementing or he's fulfilling, he's trying to do what he told the people when he was in his home in 1992 meeting, which they called the what? Master plan. And that one, there is a one of those in the scheme, whatever they were planning, they have one scheme which was there, which he told his people that we have to impoverish these people. We have to impoverish. He has. Let me read the first 5 points which he gave to the people. Yeah.
Analyze. Mr. Chisitu, can you have your training issues for the week from Uganda?
Yeah, thank you so much, the moderator. And I take this opportunity, first of all, to greet all of those ones who are viewing us once again. And in Uganda here, where I'm basing, to talk to the world, the trending news in the course of this week, I happened to receive some vaccine from our donors. And then the IGP, Inspector General of Police, happened to be seen in public this week again. And we have for so long been waiting to see the Inspector General of Police to appear in public. We had some information that was sick and so forth. And then the places of worship officially have been opened, and according to the instructions that we have got, every place of worship must have a maximum of 200 people, but the leaders in the places of worship are always complaining about that, and have been complaining about that. They say that is so unrealistic, and they are requesting for more clarification. Then the other that is trending in Uganda is the NSSF bill in Parliament, bringing it back. Remember that there are bills that the president refused to sign or to endorse, claiming that a lot of things were missing in them, and the speaker and the deputy speaker brought them back to Parliament to be looked into again, and they make them proper. And the first that is catching everyone's sight in Uganda today is the NSS bill. Then the other is that the decrease in the machete, which we had of the last 2 weeks at Masaka, it has decreased tremendously in Uganda, though again threats around the Kampala metropolitan are increasing, and they have to do something. Then the other, the news coming from the office of the Prime Minister, Honorable Nabanja, she has sent all the ministers to go on ground such that they can physically look at the activities of the government, to follow up the funds that the government is putting on ground, such that the standards of living of the normal Ugandans can be improved. Then the other that is trending in Uganda is, of course, everyone is talking about the relationship between the closure of schools in relation to other economic activities in the country. Then the other that is trending in Uganda is about the issue of scrapping off the visa fee for all the citizens from Sudan. Uganda officially scrapped off the visa fee, and right now the Sudanese are free to enter Uganda without paying even a single coin, as a way of fulfilling the requirement for the East African Federation and the integration at large. Thank you so much, the moderator. Of course, we have other news that is trending, but these are the major ones. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chisitu. It's a pleasure. Thank you. And I believe you're doing great in Uganda. Right now, let's go deep and digest these issues as they come for discussion today. Let me start with Mr. Mr. Chigonya, about the fake laws concerning fake money. I mean concerning dormant money. Mr. Chigonya, I would like as a banker to tell us briefly what is what is banking, and in banking, what are the principles that rule the secrecy or the privacy of the customers?
Thank you, Dr. Duko. Banking is where we have to be very honest. Any banker or what governs banking is honest. There is the first. There is the rules which we learn. Okay.
Bring in Mr. Chisitu. Mr. Chisitu, let me bring Mr. Chisitu, the economist. Mr. Chisitu, I want you to tell us exactly what banking is and how does banking keep the privacy of members? Yes, Mr. Chisitu. I hope we have some kind of problem with Mr. Chisitu's sound as well. Let me bring in Lawrence. Lawrence, the issue of banking has become a very big issue in Uganda, where people are thinking about taking people's money because their money is, I mean, they say if it lasts for 2 years and I mean, it not belong to you, it becomes dormant. I know as an all-rounder, you can give us a brief of the money that we bank, and I believe you have a historical kind of banking profession in your blood. So I want you to talk about banking and what do you think is missing in Uganda? Let's go.
Time takes a toll on everyone, they say. Time is merciless, it won't wait for us to change. Time, I am stressing out, I can't figure out what to say. Oh, time, just give us time. Time, looking back on pictures, and I find it hard to see you and myself in places where we used. Time takes a toll on everyone, they say. Time is merciless, it won't wait for us to change. Time, I am stressing out. I can't figure out what to say. Oh, time, just give us time. Time, looking back on pictures, and I find it hard to see you and myself in places where we used.
Welcome back from the break, and welcome back to the show as we try to discuss some of the training issues in Uganda. With me in the studio, as mentioned earlier, I have Mr. Chigonya Motebi, who is a banker. I have Mr. Kisitu Elias, who is an economist and a teacher. I have Lawrence Semogoma, who is a forensic analyst. Mr. Kisitu, when we went for a break, I was trying to ask you to discuss, to go through for us issues to do with banking, and what are the privacy in banking? How can banking be one of the best, done best in Uganda, regardless of all those problems that we hear? Mr. Kisitu.
Yeah, thank you so much, the moderator. Starting with what is a bank itself. A bank is a financial institution that deals with safeguarding of people's money and important documents. In Uganda, we have got different banks. To bring it down to a layman's understanding, a bank, it is that place where you go. It is the institution where you go. You open up an account and your money happens to be safeguarded. After doing all of that, you can also work with the bank or liaise with the bank and your important documents, like academic documents, like the land titles, like the wills, what you can call a chiramo in courts. They can also be safeguarded after you paying or subscribing that you paid some bit of a cost or fee. Banks, when we specifically look at this point of keeping someone's money, before I go that side, in Uganda, we have got Stanbic Bank. In Uganda, we have got Centenary Bank as examples that operate in Uganda. In Uganda, we have got Abusa Bank. In Uganda, we have got other banks, we have got those banks that collapsed some time back due to some other reasons which are best known by the operators within the government. And for example, Crane Bank. And I remember the proprietor suing the government over the issue of closing his bank and was meant to be paid over a lot of money, which I can't even guess right now. When we look at the advantages of a bank to a normal person, to a local Ugandan, one, it is one way of how one can save his money. And we understand that saving is a process whereby the little that you have got today, you keep it in the bank. And when it becomes too much, you can easily acquire a big asset and you own it yourself. It is known everywhere that a normal Ugandan will never get anything of value without keeping his money or her money in the bank for some good time. Again, in Uganda here, when you look at the point of saving, Ugandans earn less money. Someone earns like 150,000, 200, 100,000 per month. meaning is that on average in the year can earn 1 million or 1.2 million in Uganda. That is provided that this person is getting all the basics of life from job and can only get this money and keeps it somewhere in the bank. And this person can only acquire something after something of value after having kept his or her money in the bank. And that is the process of saving. By saving, this person can easily get that money, invest it somewhere, and gets an extra income. But we ask ourselves, how much can a person get of the investment of 1 million? Remember that people are keeping this money out of their sweats. People are keeping the money in the bank in the process of saving. They are looking at growth and development. How can themselves be developed? No one in Uganda today will ever second you to give you something of value if you don't have a physical asset, which actually values like the loan that you want to get. But it will be the savings that you have in the bank that will act as collateral security. It will be the bank that will be attracted to act as your referee, depending on how much you have on your account. So in relation to the scenario that we have in Uganda, if you look at the issue of scrapping off someone's money that has been kept in the bank for over 2 years, and this person on a minimum every year is earning 1.2, and by the end of the 2 years, which they are talking about, this person is having 2.4 million. 2.4, which can't even buy a plot of land in Kampala metropolitan. 2.4, which can't even buy a new motorcycle such that someone can use it and you earn something every day. The 2.4, which it means nothing, which those very big people in government use to only take a breakfast in Sheraton and Africana or somewhere. It is the bank with which always gives the gap of planning to the individuals. You plan for what? You plan for what you've kept in the bank. That is why I remember in school, we've always been telling children that for you to plan systematically, you should have a bank account where you save your money such that you can plan for what to do, such that you can plan for your next move. The banking is always your plan B. But now, when a person hears about the issue of scrapping off the little savings that you want, that you've had saved, what will happen again? Then it is the savings that are always kept in the bank, where even the bank itself gets some money to pay its workers. Now you're planning to scrap off all the money that you claim to be dormant in the bank, but remember, there is that individual who works in the bank that is paid on that money. Still, by saving money in the bank, it is the safest way. It is the only safest way of how you can keep your money. This day, I remember when I was just starting to work, when I was just a teenager, some very many years back, they were paying me 100,000 personally. But when they could just give you that money in your hands, you just go, your boss gives you the 100,000 at the end of the month. Sincerely, by the time you reach at home, you even don't have a single coin. You ask yourself that, oh, where is the money that I've got, that I've been paid? Sincerely, when you have nothing. But when you have your money in the bank, you're sure that your money is safe. You're sure that your money is there. You can even control yourself. We should not forget that money is one greatest pillar that always forces us, commands us to do a lot of things. So you can only be at the safe side when you have your money being kept somewhere. But still, when you look at the issues that are trending in Uganda today, that all the dormant money that is on the account is going to be scrapped off, it perturbs my understanding at one point. Still, we think that it is through the banks where we have the security for our money. Where shall we have the security? Banks always been having that advantage. Banks have always been having that advantage. But where we are seeking to get security, but we are this time around, it is becoming the first place of insecurity, because someone can even get your money from your account without even your consent, without even you knowing. After some time, you go to the bank thinking that you have your money, you just find sad news that your money was taken. Remember that moving with the money involves a lot of risks. Having hard cash involves a lot of risks. We have, in the past years, we have seen our parents losing their lives because of having huge cash. Could, by that time, those years, 1980s, 1960s, when myself, I wasn't born, a person could sell coffee, stays with the huge money, the too much money in their house. The robbers come at night and all the thieves come at night. They take all the money that the person has got. So now the risks of having hard cash have only been solved in Uganda by the use of banks. But now I see that I think they have got their people who want again to start up the other as per their strategic plan, that whichever that you have should be taken away. Remember to all our viewers that the little that you have will always be taken away and be used by the rich, as per the verse of some holy book somewhere. Is it the trend that we are about to see in Uganda? We should not forget that banks have provided jobs for very many of our brothers and sisters, parents and grandparents. Very many of them have been employed. But now you find someone coming up to say that we should always, the government should always scrap off the so-called unused money, which is on my account. I remember, actually, let me conclude by saying that, please, the government officials, those, the people who are keeping their money in the bank, they are doing that because of the insecurity, the increased insecurity in the houses where we stay. And therefore, the only hope how we can have our money is by keeping it in bank. The only hope how I can have something in life, something that I can base on to plan for my future, is by having my money on the account. I thank you so much, the moderator. I thank you, all of you, the viewers. I rest my case.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kisitu, for the insight about the dormant money and teaching us what banking is and how we benefit from banking. Let me bring in Mr. Lawrence. Lawrence Semugoma, would you please also dig deep into what the situation is in Uganda regarding money and what is the government talking about it? Some people might decide to, run away from banks. I mean, are banks going to gain anything? What is your take, Mr. Lawrence?
Thank you so much, Dr. Joko, and fellow panelists. I thank my brother Kisitu Arias there for his very wonderful submission on the state of affairs as far as banking is concerned back home in Uganda. So my take on this issue is has been one moment. Okay, if I may proceed, I think I was just getting an echo back from the studio, but I think now we're good. My take on the banking laws that are being made right now to kind of put to use what the bank is regarding as dormant money in the banks is that at least we as my brother Arias has just elaborated, we can all see the value of banks and financial institutions more so back home, that people, this is the safest place to keep your money. it is also going to be the place you should be able to access loans or some kind of capital to invest in your business or any ideas that you have, such that you can actually build more capital. It's saving in a banking institution such that you're given money to expand that capital if you have the ideas that can be put to use and make some profit out of. That being the benchmark that we all agree that banks are that vital and useful, why is the government coming up with such a position right now? I think there are two positions to this, and I beg that people do not confuse what is happening at the moment. There are some political reasons as to why this law has gained some kind of pandemonium or some kind of gravity right now to take up people's hearts and minds and put them into a direction whereby that's why everyone is looking. And there's also the other direction where the banks are and which position they had before and which position they still have right now. I think early this week or so, or late last week, the BOU was able to put out a statement and clarify on this matter that not much is actually going to change from how the law was and how the law is applied in many other foreign nations. I read through the document, the statement that the governor of Bank of Uganda, Emmanuel Tusimire, issued, and it's not different from, if there are any differences, there are very few from those that we have in the so-called developed world down here. It's money if your account is inactive for, I think, 12 months. That is considered an inactive account. It's dormant if it's, I think, 24 months, and then that's when they can take over the money. So I don't know why there is so much noise being made about this, especially in the political area, because this is the same thing that even countries like this do. The states will still take your money if you don't use it for that longer time, but they can always issue it back to you if you need it, and you can verify that it was your account, you left the money there the moment you apply for it. So if it's like below $1,000, which is about 3 million or so, Ugandan 3.5, you should be able to get that money without so much of a hassle. But if it's more than that, then there are other processes that are included, because that's a bigger figure that might include certain arrangements to be made and then transfers made to an account of your choosing. I shared my experience, I think on the previous show when we discussed this issue, that I once left money in the bank for close to 7 years, and I was able to actually go and retrieve that money. That was in my high school. I opened it up when I think I was in senior 1 or 2, and then I accessed that money when I was at the university. So the law has been there that yes, money can be be taken into the central bank. And I think there was a process that I had to go through to open up another account, and then they transfer the money. It took a while, but not that much time, I remember. And then the money was there. So right now, why is everyone talking about this like people's money is practically going to be stolen? I think there's some what could I say? There's some unnecessary kind of excitement on this issue that people's money is going to just be robbed from their accounts. I think that cannot be done legally speaking. And if at all there is any evidence to that there has been instances whereby people's money has been taken from their accounts without the knowledge of even the account holders or the financial institutions involved, that money has just disappeared from your account, I think you have every right to file a legal charge and probably go to courts, and your matter will be properly addressed, because that is not supposed to happen. And I think there are some really heavy fines that are supposed to follow if at all a scenario like that or a situation like that befell any Ugandan out there who has his money in the bank. But I am quite interested to know what is the motive behind trying to gear up people like this. Is it because they know that there's this big sum of money or big sums of money that come from people who are abroad? Like, it's no secret right now that you have a very good number of people, Ugandans in the diaspora. They've gone to the Middle East. They are all over the regions. I mean, all the countries in Africa. We have so many Ugandans who are working there, and they're all putting their money back home. Now, put in mind that some people Ugandans who are going to work abroad, they take months away from home, sometimes even years. If you are in a UN mission base, you might just get one holiday or two a year. Some other missions, like I remember Iraq or so, people who are in the Middle East, it could take probably even a full year plus without getting back home. So if it's that kind of individual who has been putting money home, what might happen? But again, I think that is not something to scare such people, because by the mere fact that they're working and remitting money in some sort of way, they are sending the money is being banked in Uganda. I think at some point there were people who were working in Somalia who were paid through Crane Bank or one of those banks, and their money would just come to their account. So that account is not dormant, it's active. No one can actually take that money. If you came back and you're from a mission and your money is not there, that is where now you start to seek to take steps or to address your issue. And the good number of steps you can take, including the courts of law, all options are still on the table with that. So myself, I'm just still wondering why the excitement is too much about the so-called money that is in the bank seated. I think people who should even be more worried about this are the people who I don't think any Ugandan who's well-meaning and a good citizen can go and just keep money for 10 years in the bank without really accessing it. Money is not meant to sit in one place for the most part. It's supposed to keep flowing and growing. It's supposed to circulate. That's why they're called currencies, because it's a current. It's supposed to move. The more it exchanges, the more value it picks up, and then it expands, and everyone gets a share of it, and everyone is happy at the end of the day. It's a means. It's not supposed to just be bottled up in one place that someone can keep all these millions. Like we've seen stories of people who keep the money in their homes, in their cars. People move with money. Honestly, if you're keeping a certain amount of money for 2-3 years on the account, I start to question your kind of intention to a certain extent, because it's not very normal for people to just go and keep something of value like that just seated, unless you didn't really get it the right way or so. Like you can't go and keep food without eating a little of it or some of it, and if it's too much, maybe you can distribute it to other people without, depending, otherwise it will go bad. So I think if the law, it was just meant to just awaken people that please don't leave money seated down. I think it's a good wake-up call to everyone out there who's just keeping money out there. And we've had, it's usually the people who have too much work, sometimes involved even in some probably illegal activities that could keep money for extended periods of time without exactly using it. But if, for the most part, most people really want to use their money. They want to invest the money in their ideas. They want to build a home. They want to build buy cars, build businesses. Even if you have nothing to do for yourself, if you've achieved all those things and you are at the top of your life, I'm sure you would want to invest some of that money into probably people or missions or foundations to help others. Like you see all these philanthropic people who go giving their money out to the Bill Gates and all that. So it's not normal for money to sit down and just sit there because you made the money, then it's just supposed to sit there. It's supposed to flow to a certain extent. But I disagree that money should just be taken from people's accounts without alerting them as to why you're taking it, and if people do not know exactly why you're taking it or which law you're citing to take it. I think I'll leave my submission at that in regards to dormant money in the banks. Thank you so much, Dr. Juko, and fellow panelists.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lawrence. Thank you for the oversight that you've given us. Let me bring in Mr. Chigonya. Mr. Chigonya, I want you to also give us your take on the money that they say is going to be held or be taken from the people's accounts the moment they are dormant. Mr. Chigonya, can you please tell us your experience? Bring in your experience.
Thank you, Dr. Juko. And I would also like to thank my other guests, Elias and Lawrence, for your very good submissions on banking. It's a long time for me since I left banking, since I last worked in banking. This has been a while. While I appreciate Lawrence saying that the bank can decide to take someone's money from the account, I don't think that is correct. Usually, as I told you at the beginning, that our customers in banking, we take them as kings. Before you do anything on their account, you have to explain to them very well, so that they could understand, and maybe they give you permission to do whatever you can do. And in situations like in Uganda, whereby somebody's saving somebody's money on the account means a lot, you cannot just say that the laws gives us this and that's why we have to take all the money which is not being used. These people are putting their money for future and whatever. That's what they have to depend on for their future. You cannot just come in whatever capacity and you just say, we shall take the money which has been there dormant. And according to the recent new information which we have been getting, it would appear some of the accounts, they have not been dormant for all that time. Some people have just been out of the country for like 2 years or less than that. But these people just came and say, any account where we see there was a lot of this money, we're going to take it. So that one, I think, for me, what I would think, if there is any dormant money, and maybe the government would like to use it, the management of the bank would tell the customers, their customers, write to them and tell them, but giving them that the money will be given back to them. And usually, what I remember when I was in the bank, whenever there was any dormant account, we would put them in a separate account and keep it. Because I remember even the Asians, the Ugandan Asians, when they left, their accounts were put in a special area somewhere in the account, and it was a general kind of, so whenever somebody could call, it was no longer accumulating profits, but whenever the owner of the account would call, there would be something to say. So for this one, as I was saying, that everything which is happening now in Uganda, it is not an accident, or it is not for the benefit of the Ugandans. It's just to make the Ugandans suffer, the indigenous people suffer. It is not for any other reason. It's just to penalize the people. Museveni's thing is you know him, that he is the person who can do something wrong and then turns that thing wrong to you, against you. He uses it on you. So he's planning to make sure that he impoverish everybody, so that in case of supporting any revolution, these people could not be helping in the revolution and the other things. But otherwise, as a conclusion, banking is as my colleagues have explained it, is where people or customers would feel safe, and they would be able to know about their treasures, anything which they put there, not only money, but even their important documents, like the land titles and all other gold. You could be having some more special things like gold or anything. Some people have their wills, some people have their everything in the banking, safe custodies and whatever. So at this time, I didn't take much trouble to look into the training or whatever, but what I heard is that people's money were being taken away from their account. People would just, and those people, the money which was taken mainly for those people who had gone out for gone out like in Saudi Arabia or anywhere there, such that they had not taken long. It has been, the money has been there for just few years, and there is no reason why these people would say we are going on to take their money out. So I don't. My take on that is that there was no genuine reason of people's money being removed from the account, as I know, from their accounts, without notification, without information, without telling them. I don't have. Let me say that I conclude on that one that it was wrong. It was done illegally, and something has to be done. If there is a way, they should return. The banks should return their customers' money on the account, or they could put them on separate accounts somewhere, and they could put the balances there. That at this date, as we closed, your balance was this because your account was dormant. So we suspended this account and we put your money somewhere in the general account. But your money, anytime we come, we will be given it back to you. And if the government is the one which is ordering to take the money away, then the banks, the individual banks, are responsible for making good their customers, and then they deal with the government. I don't have much to add on that as far as banking is, and as I have told you,
thank you very much.
I have been out of banking for so long.
Thank you.
You are welcome, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mutebi Chigonya, for the insight and the discussion and the experience that you bring in. As a matter of fact, everybody works for money, and money is one of those basic that push people to go and work. When you keep your money in the bank, you expect that money to be kept and safe. It's very intriguing for somebody to come and say the money has been dormant. In civilized countries, people tend to look at people's money as an asset. If you put it in a bank, they can use it as a bank, to do a lot of other issues. I mean, when it comes to the banking policies, depending on the country. But I believe if the government takes a step to keep people's money which is dormant, that would be a very, very big mistake. As we try to run away from this topic, let's have a video that my producer will be giving us a video concerning about the outflow of people into the Middle East in the name of making money. And then after that, we shall come back with the discussion, and I'll bring in Mr. Chisitu first to come and give us what he thinks. Let's go for the video.
Kalozi. Njale Kaluma. Ngate mugwayo. Come here. Oh, the country is going. Njaba kwa atasoka bamalayo. nga temuggwayo. Mmwe mulinga abagenda mu jjana. Wallahi mugenda mu jjana. Naye bannammwe batuuse dda eri waggulu nga temuggwayo bannaye.
Okay, we're back. As I think everybody has seen the video, and the video is trying to be just elaborate on how people are moving from our country to other places in the Middle East in the name of making money. There are a lot of issues that come with that video, and I feel really sad of what is really happening because the youths are being taken away from our country. We don't know who is remaining, who is going to help our parents in trying to cultivate and do other stuff, who is going to do all this in the name of helping our children, who is going to nurture our people when the mothers are going out of the country. Let me start with Mr. Kisitu. Mr. Kisitu, we have this training problem. There is a very big issue here, and I want you to tell us exactly what do you think about this outflow of people out of Uganda in the name of making money?
Thank you so much, Dr. Juko, for this wonderful opportunity. You can you cannot just start with the issue of labor in the Middle East without talking about slave trade. The origin of slave trade, who are those that brought about slave trade, what were the effects of slave trade to Uganda in particular, as our case study now. Slave trade, how were the Ugandans of that time taken in relation to how the Ugandans of this time taken? What was the submission of the leaders of that time in relation to how the leaders of this time view this issue of labor? Who are those that they are taking to work, and where are they working from? And this brings me to the question of, are we made to be donkeys, or we are made to be human beings? In the first place, what is labor? Labor, to make it so clear to everyone, that is the manual and the mental efforts which are rendered in the production process on the side of business. We understand that all of us, we are made to work. Looking at the human rights, you do what you feel in peace from. You do what makes you comfortable. But this time round, things are the opposite. You don't do what makes you feel comfortable, but you do what is forced on you. And that is the kind of labor that people are in right now. What kind of jobs are our brothers and sisters doing in the Middle East? We have the professional jobs and the unprofessional jobs. We have those jobs that require skills. We have those jobs which require the high skilled labor. Are they given such jobs? Accountants, yes or no? Doctors, yes or no? Engineers, yes or no? Those are questions that we ask ourselves. Semi-skilled labor, the other one higher skilled. Semi-skilled is another type of labor, somewhere there in the middle. Assistant, doctors or nurses somewhere. Assistant instructors, or the assistant professors or teachers somewhere. Are our sisters and brothers doing such jobs? Yes or no? The question is no. Unskilled labor, are they employed in such jobs which require people who are unskilled? The answer is a bold yes. I would say in Uganda today, Banangi, tujibezamu chibuli, in quotes, chibuli. Chibuli means currently, if you've not been in Uganda for so long, you can't understand what chibuli means. Chibuli means that Uganda tujibezamu mpaka. We are in Uganda, we are staying in Uganda by force. In Uganda, we have graduates having degrees, having diplomas, having certificates, graduates of senior 6, senior 4, who do not have anything to do. Some others have tried to get borders on loan, these motorcycles. But every now and then, the organ of the department in government, which is called police, always takes them. Owning a new border in Uganda is enough for you to be visited by special visitors who are called Katayimbwa beaters, in courts somewhere. They just give you your dose and a full one, and you're left there when you're just planning for your journey to meet the Almighty, the Creator. That is the case in Uganda. What does a child opt for? Let me go and I work. And I could say that the child, the mass traveling of youth from Uganda to Middle Eastern countries is completely a government policy, as it was in the past that transporting people from Uganda or Africa or East Africa to other countries as slaves, it was again a policy by the leaders of that time. But we look at what are the effects of such. What are the effects? Sincerely, when we look at it, people having degrees are working as housemaids, housekeepers in the Middle East. We think that by you owning a degree, you're very resourceful. Actually, you're at a level of being a manager. But Uganda's policy is making a degree owner to be a manager of utensils in someone's house in the Middle East. People owning diplomas, they are known to be so good and they can add quality on Uganda. Remember, the quality of labor force that you have will contribute tremendously to the development of the economy. The person owning a diploma in Uganda is going to be a very good manager in the Middle East. Doing what? Providing the beginning security, the mere security. Who is on the door? Please open. You enter. A person owning a diploma. Certificate. Remember that in senior 6, the document that you get is a certificate. And a certificate of senior 6 is enough for any individual in Uganda to qualify as a complete member of parliament. But the would-be member of parliament is very busy in the Middle East, working as anything that you can call, but is within the sector of the having jobs which do not require any skill. As long as you have your energy, please, you go. And the opportunity to be given those professional opportunities is not there. Those professional jobs is not there. I wonder what the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development discusses with the officials from those other countries, where our sisters, where our innocent sisters are already taken? Do they discuss the terms and conditions for our sisters to be given just the rubbish jobs? Oh, and looking at that, when you try to look at the dirhams that they are paid, sincerely, it is too much money as compared to that of Uganda. But
we've lost Mr. Kisitu. Let me bring in Lawrence. Lawrence, at this point, we need to look at some issues here. Look at the income household. When these people go into the diaspora to make money, we gain, the country gains a lot. The taxes, the household income goes higher, and regardless of the problems that they get there. I want you to dissect deep into this, and then I want you also to tell us who is responsible for the problems these people get out of these places where they work. Can't the government work better to secure their safety? Can't we prepare these people in a better way and train them, and they go when they are professional, regardless of working as maids? Can't we also, like in some countries, people protect their citizens? They have conditions, as Mr. Kisto has mentioned. They put conditions and conditions of service. If the government doesn't respond to these ones, there will be something that the government can press on. Mr. Lawrence, can you dissect?
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Juko, again, for once again an opportunity to share with our viewers our perspective on this kind of people are going to call it brain drain, or kind of outflow of especially the youths from Uganda to other nations seeking more income or a better life or better living. I think immigration, or what I could say, what did they used to call them in the past? There's another term it used to go to, but again, I think we should go just by immigration. This has historically been with us, and it's not going to stop with our generation. People all over the world move every day. The transportation systems in the world are probably the most important today, even probably more than before. There are many, probably the most critical sectors they are to facilitate all this movement of people, goods, and services from one corner of the world to the other. Now, leaving goods at that, why do people move? Just getting back to, if I could start by just Maslow's hierarchy of needs, people are just looking for those three units, so those three basic things of survival, which is safety, shelter, and food. And in most cases, once those three are threatened or are unachievable in any reality or place you stay, you're going to leave. That itself is just enough to give you a reason to go and look for a place or an area where these can be taken care of. So we can agree that Ugandans, I think, have reached that point whereby just the basic needs are not taken care of. Because what is happening? You could say, no, people have land in the villages, they can go and stay there. Yes, that used to be the case. If the city failed, you could go to the city. That's how it used to be. But now the villages are also not there because they've also been sold. And in most cases, we sell the land, or people sell the land in the villages before they move to the city. So there's nothing to go back to. And from the city, you're going to just continue down that road. If you see you can't afford the room for rent, you end up in the slum. If the slum is not a place you want to desire to go, there's no place in the village, you're going to just move forward and then go into the diaspora, which many people have done. So I would start by saying that I think there is nothing wrong with people moving. It is just us who are trying to fix people into some kind of fictitious kind of boundaries or borders, such that we just keep them in there and not let them expand or grow. But today we're going to agree that we live in a global village whereby everyone is connected to everyone, and you just can't put boundaries anymore. It's why we are here, 3, 4 of us in the studio, and everyone is on a totally different zip code, a totally different address, but here we are. So we are connected that way. And people are going to look for opportunities following that kind of sequence, because they know they're connected. They've had or they've gotten information that if you go to the Middle East, you're going to earn this much. If you go to Iraq, you're going to earn this much. But let me give you just a little perspective of the global statistics in terms of immigration. There's some key facts we just put up there on the screen, which shows you the number of immigrants that they are right now. And you can see these numbers are going up, by the way. 10 years ago, it was just 150 million people who were immigrants. Right now, the number has doubled to 270. Proportion of that, of course, is about 3.7 of the global population, I think. So the females, of course, there are less women that are immigrating to all these other countries that we're talking about. And yes, we have children covering about 13%, which is a very big figure. But when it comes to the country with the highest number of immigrants or migrants, you're going to see that it has always been the Middle East, which is the United Arab Emirates. And of course, we know that that has been the oil kind of capital city of the world. It's the reason why you see even the other global wars have been there in that area. So people are going there because that's where the value is. People are attracted where there is value. They're not going to stay in a place whereby they have no value or they're gaining no value. Look at the number of migrant workers across the world. They are over 160 million. By the way, when they talk about migrant workers, they're talking about now people in maybe these international agencies like the UN and all these other global organizations or NGOs that are all over the world. But there are those who are not in those migrant workers, because if you go to other, and then you're an expert in a field and you're taken to another country to assist, maybe you're an engineer, there are not enough engineers in certain areas, like many Ugandans have been going to South Sudan and Rwanda just after the genocide, were there as teachers. Same thing in South Sudan, where they're doing all the jobs we could find. And good enough, we had the training for them. Now, looking at the remittances we have, you can see that immigrants are remitting a very good figure. That is about 689 billion. That's huge. So that is money that people would not, in other words, make in their countries. So leaving that, leaving that number, that we're moving forward from that number, let's just get down to Uganda itself. So when you look at Uganda, the amount of money that we that is incoming from other nations, that is Ugandans that are in this, in the diaspora, you can see that we have about 1.3 billion. So out of the 600 billion, Ugandans are only contributing about 1.3 billion. That is how much we are sending from from other countries to Uganda. And I just wanted us to look at the top countries that are actually remitting the most. You're going to see that the UK is topping that. I think the UK's remits about $372 million. Yes, these are dollars. Followed by South Sudan with 273 million. And there's something even more interesting. Rwanda comes in third in terms of remittances. So there are more Ugandans in South Sudan and Rwanda. And just between Rwanda and Sudan, you have about $500 million coming from just those two countries from Ugandans. That's huge. It's so interesting. So while we are thinking about the Middle East is taking up so many people, yes, it is. And we've seen the videos, we've seen the numbers. But I remember that these children, or rather these workers, when they are taken out there, they're not paid the most. They're paid $100, $200 a month. You're lucky if you hit 500. Some people do hit those figures, but most don't. But you can see just in the region, just if you wanted to make money, you could probably go to South Sudan or Rwanda, and then you're going to be making more money. Now, on the flip side, we have the outflow of money. How much money does Uganda remit outside? So you can see we were getting in about 1.3 billion, and then we are taking out $209 million. That is how much we're sending from Uganda to other countries. The reasons, those are your guess is as good as mine. It could be for school, it could be for buying goods and services, it could be for a good number of reasons. Pick one. But the interesting thing about our money, the money we're sending outside, is we're sending more money to Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania. Now, those are the countries in the region. Kenya itself takes up about $107 million. That's how much we send to Kenya. And I think there's a lot we trade with Kenya. Looking at Rwanda is about, we're sending out about $32 million. By the way, these statistics are from the World Bank, and yes, they might be a few years old. I think these are 3 years old. We couldn't get anything newer than that because that is all there was. I think also COVID got into the way of trying to get any new information at the moment. But that is kind of where those statistics are at the moment. Now, just focusing on Rwanda because there is a certain way we tend to focus our politics and all that to Rwanda. Rwanda is exporting about $62 million to Uganda. So they double what we send to them. Uganda only exports about 37 million. And the biggest export we take into Rwanda is cement. And Rwanda to Uganda, they're sending us yeast. I think that speaks volumes. If they're sending us yeast, we all know what yeast is for. It's beer and all these other things. So we like to party. The Rwandans are making sure we party so much because the yeast makes sure that we have a good brew out there. But leaving now the local scene to the Middle East. Yes, many Ugandans have gone to the Middle East. And there have been so many horrific stories that have been shared. And a few glorious ones at that. But this is what I have to say. If you've made the decision and you want to go, you better make sure that you've done your due diligence and studied the company that is taking you, the people who have been there and how they're faring, because it's one thing to just get into a group and then they take you, like you've seen all those young ladies and men all dressed in their hijabs, marching kumbaya all the way to the Middle East. What are you going for? Yes, you're going to be a maid. We looked at the statistics last time, and then it showed how the literacy levels are actually climbing for people who are actually above 15 years plus. I think the literacy level was put at about 5 million Ugandans plus. It's about that. That's a very huge number. So if those people can't read and write, of course, these are the jobs they're going to, at the end of the day, they're going to get into odd jobs, which is being maids, just maybe drivers. But even driving is not a small job. The drivers should be making decent money. But again, it doesn't require so much intellectual kind of prowess to do certain kinds of jobs. But that is what people are doing out there, and they're earning big. Now, sometimes it's not even about what people are doing. It's what they do out of whatever value they earn. You being a maid, that's not a problem. If that is what life has presented you, you're going to be a maid, but being a maid is going to make sure that you have a roof over your head. You're going to buy land. You're going to have a house. You're going to take your kids to school. So be it. No one ever made I don't think God ever made the world to only have doctors or engineers. All these fields are also there. And if it is harder to be an engineer because maybe you don't have the intellectual kind of capacity to get those degrees, then it is okay. So I think at the moment, those are the options that Ugandans are facing. Yes, I disagree, or rather, I agree with people who say that no, these people are all draining the country. Yes, true. But if you're to leave these Ugandans, or rather these youths in the country, what are you going to have them do at the end of the day? With the privatization wave that came up, so many corporations were closed, so many institutions were merged. The airline went, now I think of recent, it came back. It's not going to have the same numbers. You had all these banks that closed, the UCBs, all those old banks, they were employing very many people. They had housing and all these other facilities. Those are no more. And again, we should also take into consideration that Uganda probably has the highest fertility rate. It's about 5 to 1, something like that. Every woman can have over 5 kids. That means we're just a baby-making production kind of country in the world. We're having a big population coming up, and our resources are not enough for our people. So they're going to move to other places where they can get or rather use all their skills, gain skills, and just kind of get a livelihood out there. So it is unfortunate that in this pursuit of happiness, or rather trying to get some kind of purpose in life, tragedy sometimes strikes. Especially the women get the worst lash of this, which is they are beaten, they are raped. And I've heard of stories whereby they're even permanently made impotent, such that if anything is to ever go down their route, there will never be any evidence per se. We've had that. They're like, no, when the girl has periods, then she's not going to work as much as a maid, and then they're being given all these injections. We've heard all these stories. It's very unfortunate that this is happening. And to me, what I would say is, if you want to consider the Middle East as a destination to, go use your skills or get some exposure, live life fully, do your due diligence. Ask as many questions as you can. I like questions. I love asking questions. And I think you should also do, because that's the only way you're going to understand what exactly you're signing up for. You're not going to just go into a territory just because other people are going. Ask, but why are they going? What are they making? When I go, who's going to look after me? Okay, if they're getting me $200, how much does the other person who take off that? Have all that, have the whole kind of deal, have a 360 outlook of what you're getting into. You can't just get into something just because you are not able to earn 100,000. They're promising you $1 million, and then you go. The $1 million could be, yes, you're going to get the $1 million, but you're not going to come back with a liver. You're not going to come back with a kidney. And the kidneys and livers, for those who know, those cost way more than the $200 or $300 you went to collect. This is all happening because there's some kind of trafficking, an organ trafficking business which is happening while they are taking these children out there. And of course, you're very healthy and you're money, and probably the state is less concerned about your health or your well-being, but probably interested in how much you're going to remit back and transact. When you buy a car, you're going to pay taxes. When you buy land, there's a tax to that. When you're paying rent, there's a rent tax. So in every corner, the government is benefiting, and I think this is why it has probably tried to be pro taking these children out to the Middle East to try to get as much income from them. Because if you left those, I think a few years ago, it used to be about 65,000, or the numbers have been climbing, but at the moment we have over 100,000 people plus in the Middle East. So if those 100,000 people are remitting, you've seen the figures of how much you're getting back, that billion, and it's climbing and climbing. The government, for it, it's a business. It's like, we'll just make sure these people are safe. They grow up to an age. We don't care if they learn anything or not. That is evident in what certain education programs are producing. We don't care how they come out. They're going to be maids. Maid doesn't need to know much. He just needs to know when to turn on the dishwasher, mop the carpet, move the landlord's kid around, sing and play with the kids. That's it. So looking at that, if the government looks at it at a certain strategy, but you also should look at it using your strategy and see, does it really fit? Is it going to give me really what I'm looking for in life? If it is not, please do not move. You're better and you're more valuable alive. You'd rather have a limited experience than having a very a long limited experience than a very short experience, which is very undesirable, while you thought you're going to actually amplify or live a greater life than probably God prepared for you. Thank you so much, Dr. Duke. I'll leave that at that.
Yes, thank you very much, Lawrence, for the insight as well. I believe everybody around here is going to understand the key elements that you put across, which are very, very paramount when it comes. We need people to get money. We need people to have their money. And that money can be helpful in our country. Let me bring in Mr. Chigonya with that experience. Mr. Chigonya, people tend to go out. We have also another element of some people being Ugandans being, weaklings. Many people don't want to work. When they go there, they go with their character, and they say, "Oh, we thought work outside is simple," so they start disturbing. Then on top of that, you have some people that they go with that naivety. They are naive to the extent, I see it even here in America. Somebody comes over, is given like $15 per hour, and then he looks at the employers as if they are helping them, and they stand not to ask questions, where, as Mr. Lawrence has said, here, I think we need to look at, Mr. Chigonya, I want you to dig deep into this and tell us, what do you think people who go outside should look like, and what should they think?
Thank you, presenter. Thank you, Dr. Juko. For me, I didn't think much on what these people do when they go out and why they do what and whatever. For me, I was thinking of the effect of the outflow of these Ugandan youth who to go outside there. This is for me, when you go out there, whatever you do there depends on your way, what you want and whatever, how you think, or your objectives. But my worry is on what happens where these people are coming from, because this is the energetic group. This is the group of the youth which we think development or the economy would be on these people. For me, I look at the effect of Uganda now, that when we drain these people out, when we take them out, as Uganda is losing a lot. For me, what I say, doctor, you wanted me to talk about what happens when these people come, maybe they're reluctant, whatever. But when I look at it, most people, Ugandans are hardworking. When they come out here, wherever they go, they work. And they help over there. But the main effect that in Uganda, there is a gap, there is a vacuum. And this vacuum of the people who are living, you can see the number when we looked at the video, the number of people who are going, these are the youth, younger ladies, and so many of them. That means there is a vacuum which is left here in Uganda. And you find that this vacuum which is created in Uganda is filled in by some outsider refugees, the people who comes by the government's policy. This is what I was, my worry is, you find that when they leave, when they go out, it is just it is an unintention that Museveni, what he did, he created something which is to impoverish, to make poor everybody in the country. And when they made them to be poor, that as a part of their objective, their scheme, which said to ensure that they do what? To ensure that everybody else is poor so that they could be controlled. So now, by making them poor, you find that when these people who are taking them, the companies and the whatever, they are these people in the government, they are people who are in the Museveni's family. They are the one benefiting out of everything which these people are getting from there. First of all, these people have to pay here the money to register them and whatever, to process everything. And when they get there, the payment which they get, they also get a portion of it. So that you find that still it is the Museveni and the Museveni is more his Museveni and his people who are benefiting out of it. And the people who have been who are over there, who have been taken over there, their places here are being taken over by refugees, by people from other countries like Afghanistan, Rwanda, everywhere, Congo, and whatever. So there is a reason of everything which is happening now. That is what my point was, that whatever we see, what is happening, this movement, this outflow of these people from Uganda to outside, it is a deliberate move. It is not benefiting anything in Uganda. There's nothing which we benefit out of that. It is just losing. It is a planned thing to make sure that the indigenous people, they become brain drained. As Lawrence has explained, that when they go there, area, he explained that when these people go there, the type of jobs they do, they are not their skills. They go in any kind of job and losing their skills, losing whatever they have been trained. Most of these people go, maybe they have university degrees and whatever. And when they go there, they don't practice in that and whatever. That means it is a loss. It's a loss to Ugandan situation. So for me, I would look at what these people do when they go there, because the moment you come to developed countries, always there is a way how they do what they benefit, the employer benefit from you, and also you as an employee, you also benefit somehow. But what I'm looking at, what my major concern on this issue, that the outflow of youth in the name of getting jobs. Jobs would have been even created in Uganda. There would be some jobs which these people would be getting or whatever when they get out of their schools. But because of the government, because of Museveni's way of fulfilling or take whatever, making his plan work, his scheme work, he doesn't want to see that this youth stays in Uganda. The reason why, even if we see why Africa is still lagging behind, it is because during the slavery time, they took these people who were the energetic, the youth, the strong people who could develop, and they left the children and the seniors, the old people who could not do anything. That's made us to stay where we are. This is the same situation Museveni is doing to Uganda. He's removing the energetic, the resourceful people, the people who do the development in every aspect, and he replaces them with foreigners who are going to be even helping him to suppress and whatever, carry on his missions and whatever he wants to do. So I don't have much to say, but what I'm saying, that whatever is happening in Uganda, like this outflow is a plan. It is intended to make indigenous Ugandans and to make these occupiers, themselves who occupied us, the invaders, to take over our land, our everything. That is what I say. I don't have much to add on that. So
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chigonya. Thank you. It's a pleasure with your experience that you add
Thank
on
you.
this discussion. For reality, the life of our people in Uganda is really very devastated. People tend to, have no option. The captivity that Ugandans are in brings them to be forced to look for where they can earn a living. And when they go there, they also find the same problem that they have been having at home. Nonetheless, outside is a little better because they earn money. I think if we had a very serious government, the government would be very protective of its citizens, and then they would be able to to bring in money back in Uganda, and then that money would be taxed to cover up the expenses of the government. However, this goes back to the regime. The regime is not ready to help our people. The regime is not ready to help our people to be free out of that captivity. Let's go for a short break. And when we come back, we shall go directly to the issue of the presidential speech. And we look at the education issue, which is also disturbing when it comes to our children who are seated home. Let's go for a break. And then then we come back. Don't go away from your sets.
Time takes a toll on everyone, they say. Time is merciless, it won't wait for us to change. Time, I am stressing out, I can't figure out what to say. Oh, time, just give us time. Time, looking back on pictures, and I find it hard to see you and myself in places where we used.
Welcome back to the show, the final session of the show, the Tower UNN. My name, once again, is Dr. Juko, your host and presenter. And with me in the studios, I have Mr. Semgoma Lawrence, the forensic analyst. I have Mr. Chigonya Motebi, who is a banker. And I have Mr. Chisitu, within the country. And as we mentioned it is very, very important that we look into the issue of education. Education has become a very big problem in Uganda. And the president, while addressing the speech, was very categorical on some of the issues that are trending. He talked about the fact that schools need to be worked on. Schools, people have to come back. The students have to come back later next year when all the teachers are vaccinated. I wonder whether there are a lot of work that is being done to vaccinate our teachers and our children. Mr. Chisitu, I want to bring you over in this because you're a teacher and you experience all these as part of your daily life. Can you please start with the discussion into this president's speech. Thank you very much, Mr. Kisip.
Yeah, thank you so much, the moderator of the day. To start with the issue of education in Uganda. Actually, what is education? Education is the process of passing over knowledge to another generation. When you happen to teach or to provide some knowledge to some other people, then you're providing education. In Uganda, specifically looking at it as the case study, education is gained from schools currently. Schools where we have nursery, where we have pre-primary, where we have primary itself, that is from P5 to P7. Then we have lower secondary, senior 1 to senior 4, where a child goes out with a pass slip and a certificate. Then we have senior 6, senior 5 to senior 6, where a child gets again a pass slip and a certificate to join the university. We have classes that have never been to school for a period of now 2 years and some months. Nursery, P1, P2, P3, and P4 students have never, P3 students have never been to school for a period of now 2 years plus. Senior 1 have been to school for only 1 or 2 months, if I'm not mistaken. So for over 18 months, they have not been to school. In Uganda, that has led to a lot of girls getting pregnant, producing children. And when you try to look at who are the fathers to the children, they are nowhere to be seen. They are those young boys who are just in their adolescent stage, younger girls who are just in their adolescent stage. When we look at someone who has been fully educated in relation to his or her importance to the development of the country, it is very, very high. If you try to compare it with to that one who has not been educated. Still, when we look at the effects that Uganda is likely to face, given the effects of that will come from those ones who have produced the children who do not have parents, let me call it that. Because looking at a P7 child, actually starting with the P6, P7, senior 1, senior 2, senior 3, the question is, really, can such a boy or a girl who a child has produced his or her own child, what will come from such an offspring that has been produced? Who will really parent who? That's a question that is very big. In relation to COVID-19, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, closed schools. March 16th, 2020? Was it 2020? Some 2 years back, schools were closed. And these kids are at home. What are they doing? My dear the viewers, I'm telling you what is on the ground. Students are very busy in the markets doing business. Students are very busy in this Uganda where we watch soccer from. Yesterday we had a match between Manchester City and Chelsea. Many of them were there. Children are very busy on the streets of Kampala and the areas where they come from, moving. Their parents, where are they? In arcades, the parents are there, the children are there. In the markets, the parents are there, the children are there. When you go to areas of the worshiping places that were opened this week, children are there, parents are there. And now the president is giving the reasoning that the children will take COVID-19 at home to their parents and they will die. Still, the children will infect the teachers at school. It is known that the children can highly fight against, their immune systems can highly fight against the infection of COVID-19. However much they are in what president calls the breeding grass, the dry grass that can easily catch fire. however much they are like that, but they can fight against, their immune systems can do that. When you look at the impact of all of the effects of COVID-19 to the students in Uganda, it is 0%. No child has died of COVID in Uganda as we speak, and it is not there. And they're giving an excuse that the kids took COVID-19 back home to their parents, and the parents died. But we should note this, is that by the time the so-called second wave was set in, I remember very well, it was an Indian who came in Uganda with a variant called Delta. I remember, which variant spread all over the country, and the government never closed the borders to not allowing dangerous variants brought in the country. Looking at this level of segregation or all the international schools in Uganda are working. All of the international children are studying. Those who can manage to educate their children in international schools, they are studying in Uganda. The children, the indigenous, the local children of Uganda are at home doing a lot of nothing. The question is, does the COVID of Tanzania, Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi, far different from that of Uganda, where countries are operating? And what we use, the soaps that we used in the past when Museveni opened opened the schools or education partially, they are the very soaps that they are using. For those who are viewing us, the soap means standard operating procedures. Please wash your hands, social distance, put on mask, and so on. Don't hug yourselves, don't shake hands, and so on. Those are the ones that they are following in Tanzania, in Kenya, in Rwanda. Kids are not dying. A teacher is dying in Rwanda, Kenya, and Tanzania. If they are dying, who is teaching the children? They think the answer is they are not dying. Then really, what is the problem? If someone comes up with the conclusion that the government has got an hidden agenda about the poor Ugandan child, who are you to come up and you say that no, the government doesn't have a hidden agenda? They have always called us, who always criticize what they are taking as decisions, that we are false prophets. But the thing is, we are not false prophets. The government is not looking at the other section of the education sector, which is highly private. Now they have come up with a policy that let all schools register again. You look at a disorganized system. All schools in Uganda, we don't have any school that can operate without the consent of the Ministry of Education. Because of their ruthless laws, ruthless decisions that they put in place, schools had a lot of debts. Some schools collapsed. The government never supported them. And it is highly known that the private sector in education has highly supported the education system of Uganda. By looking at their structured adjustment programs that were put in place, which include privatization, where education was privatized, and the private sector has had an upper hand in educating the Ugandan child. Sincerely, today, the government is not supporting them. The government is closing down, but not having a clear program for a teacher who survives on the salary paid by the parents to a private school. The government is not doing all of that. And still, there are those teachers who are working in government institutions. Are they happy to sit at home? The question is, the answer is, they are not happy. They are consuming the taxpayers' money for nothing. And for them, they think they have that pain towards a child. Remember, a teacher is just a servant who was put in the country to make sure that he nurtures or she nurtures the child of the country. And a teacher does not get too much, even if he's from a government institution or government aided school, gets just peanut and feels uncomfortable without working. What is the government doing about education? We have a lot of questions about education. This week, the Parliamentary Committee about Education invited the ministers, the officials from the Ministry of Education, expecting the First Lady, the Minister for Education, the Cabinet Minister for Education to turn up. She never turned up. Dr. Jesse Muyingo didn't even have enough answers to please the committee. They issued out learning materials to the kids. They always issue them out into the newspapers. Now, when are those? The question is, when are those kids sitting for exams? The other question is, who is assessing how the children are perceiving what is being taught on radios and on TVs? What is the next way forward for Uganda as education is concerned? Still, by registering all the private institutions again, that is a very process, and it has a lot of implications on it. Ugandan government is known to be very much exorbitant, and by virtue of the fact, they are planning to put, I think, other new taxes on education institutions, not even looking at the challenges they have faced. What are the effects? What are the effects that are going to come out of the wrong decisions made by the government? The teachers, the good teachers in the private institutions have left the country forcefully to go and work in the Middle East, the topic that we have just discussed now. They are not living because everything is okay in the country. They are not living because of their own will. They are moving away because of the situation, which is not appetizing at all. Good teachers who would teach physics very well, who would teach biology very well, who would teach the mathematics very well, are now leaving the country. Still, those teachers who would teach so well the English, the mathematics, the primary so well, the very good teachers who have been teaching in nursery, teaching the children how to read and write. Remember that teaching a child how to read and write is very hard. Those teachers have spent 2 years without even earning a single coin. Who will go back to school to teach the children, yet they have tested how bitter the teaching is? The effects of it, this week again, all federations regarding the sports have complained. How are they complaining? Remember, it is through schools that talent is being tapped. For 2 years, we don't have post-primary. For 2 years, we don't have Coca-Cola. For 2 years, we don't have the inter-university games. For 2 years, we don't have the East African games. That is schools versus schools. They are not there. Where is the talent? Look at the vacuum being created. What is that talent? Where is it going to come from? And remember that we get a lot of things. We'll get a lot of money, a lot of revenue from the talents. But given the policy that the government had a long time ago of not promoting sports at all, I think now they are the happiest that let Uganda also lag behind on the side of sport. And all federations, be it the Uganda Football Federation, the Uganda Basketball Federation, the Swimming Federation, Netball Federation, all those ones are suffering right now as we speak because talent has been wasted. Now, let us wait for what will happen next. All of those ones are not being handled. Still, to all of the viewers outside there, education is a key to success. That is what they told us. But sincerely, the government that we have in power is complicating everything. Yes, children are in school. Who will apply for education to be an educational professional this time round? Higher institutions of learning have been opened. Very good. They are open. That is so good. And they are calling for applicants for those children who would like to apply for different courses or programs at different universities, Makerere, Chambogo, Mbara, and so on, who will apply for education. We shall at one point have a very big vacuum in as far as the teachers as the professionals is concerned. Still, to all of us, to all of you, the viewers, I just have to tell you this. If you have your relative in Uganda, please try as much as you can to tell your relatives in Uganda to teach the children themselves. And who knows exactly that the January, the February they're talking about, schools will open. Yet even we don't have the vaccine we are surviving on the vaccine provided by other countries. The money was passed to buy vaccine in Uganda. Where is that money? The parliament approved a lot of money to be given to the Ministry of Health to procure the vaccines. They are nowhere to be seen. And they are claiming that they must have vaccinated all of the teachers. To tell you, please, all of you, the viewers, teachers in Uganda were vaccinated. Those ones who still want to teach, they were vaccinated. And the president himself produced a list of those districts that had vaccinated for over 100% of their teachers. You're opening up, the taxis are working where the drivers vaccinated. Arcades are working where the attendants vaccinated. The doctors, moreover, working on those patients of COVID-19 where they vaccinated. All they are vaccinating now. The police and the army, they are on the way, they are on the roads getting money from people, curfew, enforcing curfew and so on. Where they vaccinated, they are very busy working. Why would you bring us the excuse that teachers will first be vaccinated, yet other sectors are running when their managers, when their stakeholders were not vaccinated? What's the logic behind that? We need answers which we don't have, and they have to answer. We have nothing to do, but rather to ask. Still, talking about vaccination, the 4.6 million people, 4.4 million people, I think that like how we mentioned it when he was addressing the nation about education, that those who must be vaccinated first. What does that mean? Shall they have the vaccine by that time? Remember the problems associated with the donations. They are not, we are not assured of their flow in the country. They may be interrupted somewhere, and you may find schools opening in the mid of next year. We cannot, and we, personally, I cannot just consider what was put to us on paper that schools will be open on ABC date as being the final. We cannot. Still, looking at the president's speech, it was not his speech. I'm repeating, it was not his speech, it was a speech of some other people, because all of the information that he told the country, we had the information already. And everyone knew it very well that universities will begin a month to end of this year. Other institutions of learning will open up that is next year. We all had that information. Now, who wrote for President Museveni the speech? And sincerely, the question is, who is controlling the country? Ugandans, are we still in control? Those ones who would control us, those ones who would control the country of my age, they're out of the country claiming to look for money. Where is the money? Nowhere to be seen. The government claims to love its people so much. You love people who are ignorant? Please, please, please. We are going to face another pandemic of ignorance. COVID-19 uneducated children pandemic in Uganda. Wait for it. COVID-19 is more dangerous. But remember that ignorance is more disastrous. I beg to submit.
Very much, Mr. Kisitu, for that wonderful submission, and I think it's giving a very good highlight of what exactly is going on in terms of education. Let me bring in Mr. Chigonya, Mr. Mutebi Chigonya. We have a lot of issues with the education. Our children are home, and some other children are going to school. The children of the poor are the ones having trouble. I want you to discuss this, because even international schools are running. What can we do? They promised helping children at home with radios. That one didn't work. They promised to bring in online classes. That didn't work. I think this is so much affecting the secondary students, because primary schools, as Mr. Kisitu has mentioned, are very busy helping their children, and I think they'll be just promoted. I want you to give us your view about this, Mr. Chigonya.
Areas for that very good analysis. I don't have to say so much about these things because everybody knows, everybody sees what's happening. And according to the explanation which Mr. Kisito has given us, this is a deliberate or unintentional move for Museveni to fulfill or to implement his objectives, which are in their plan. He wanted to say, for him, his plan is to give the highest education qualifications during their term of office for their children, not for the indigenous children, not for any simple person's children. It's only their children. And this is what they're doing. Whatever is doing, as I've told you, is on the plan. They are doing what they want to do. They are enforcing those things to work out. So this is not an accident. This is not what I can see when he talked about reopening of schools in his speech. He said infections in children below 18 years are often mild and recover quickly. However, many of the 15 million learners are day scholars who, once infected, go back to home and infect the parents and whatever, blah, 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 blah. I look at all of these things he wrote. He is not the one, as my colleague Kisut said. This guy is not one who wrote these things. He's just there to play his game, his ubwenge. He's just playing his ubwenge to the people. Just like yesterday I was listening to on the TV live. There was one time when he called Ronald Mayinja to sing a song called the Mzee Bizem, something of that kind. But after Ronald is singing, Museveni came and pretended. He started thinking that as if he did not know what was happening and whatever. He knew everything. He knows everything. He's the one who's making all of this confusion. He's the one doing everything bad in Uganda. And he pretends. He pretends that he doesn't know what is going on or whatever, that he's just learning from people. So these things which you see, the vaccination things, all of those things I see here, the teachers, their target 550,000, and then the first dose was 269 something, and kind of all of these are fake figures, fake things which are not real. And their intention is nothing but to implement their plan of action, to make sure that they take over everything, they weaken us by impoverishing us, by doing everything, by causing all of those diseases and everything to us. So this is what he's doing. He's giving the highest education qualifications to their family, their children only. He's not caring about the rest of the children. And for me, viewers and listeners and all my colleagues now, we have nothing to do. We are not going to talk too much. He himself from 7 says he doesn't fear microphone, he fears action. And we, people who are now like here, or who are exposed, who sees what's happening, and we have enough evidence that whatever is happening in Uganda now, whatever you see, anything we complain, any questions you have, they are not accidental. They are not, they don't come by accident. They are deliberate, they are being, he's just implementing them. He's just putting them according to what he has. We told you that in 1992, he had 77 people in his courtyard, in his home, somewhere there. And he gave them the master plan and the plan of action that we have to do A, B, C, D. And one of them is to have the highest education qualification during this term of office for their children. So what he's doing now, he's doing that. He's making sure that these people fail by closing the schools for 2 years, that is an intention that is happening now. They happen. It is only the kids of yours, the simple people, ordinary men and women. But for them, their kids are going, they're being dropped off to their schools. They are learning. They have the ability. They have computers in their homes. They have everything. So it is only you and you indigenous, it is a way to find a way of uprooting these people out of our country. That is the only solution. Crying, lamenting, and talking will not do anything. What will save us, will save our situation, is to get them out by a legal armed revolution or armed struggle. That is the only thing. Otherwise, talking and doing this, Museveni, he just feels happy. He continues doing what he is doing. You can see these people have a plan to make sure they are raise people in Uganda in the next 50 years master plan. So you can see they are owning everything, they're doing everything. This thing of making our kids, your kids, not go to school, it was a deliberate action. There was no, in Uganda, whatever those cases they were reporting as the COVID-19 victims, they were not there. They were fake figures. Everything is being faked. Areas, you know very well, you know what is happening there on the ground. You see what's happening. All of these things are fake. Whatever, he cannot even remember what, if you can ask him that, what did you read or wait on this page, what about curfew? What did you say about curfew? What did you say about weekend? He cannot tell you, he cannot remember anything. These things are just put in him and say, go and wangelize these people, tell them the lies, just confuse them. That is the thing. He is pretending. He's not a president supposed to be in Uganda at this time, my friend. So I don't have much to talk on this and that and that. We need to know that these people should be removed. We have to remove them, to apprehend them, to do whatever we can do and take back our country. Mr. Moderator, I'm not adding more on that, but this is what I had on the.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chigonya. Thank you very much. Mr. Chisitu, somebody was very, very categorical when he talked about the issue of schools being captured as well. There is no interest. So what is your take about the government not being interested in opening schools because they know that possibly opening schools, I mean, basically most schools that are not open and within the central region, other places are fine. Can you come over and give us some insight on this?
Yes, thank you so much, the moderator. About the issue of education in Uganda, sincerely, we must all try our level best to make sure that we do what we can to have the future generation safe. Unless when we ourselves, we wake up, that is when we shall have something. But we should not expect anything from the government. The government will not save us at any point. And therefore, those that can have a chance of developing another plan B for education in Uganda, sincerely can do that. I remember very well, Mr. Moderator, to tell you this. Bars have been closed in Uganda, but they had their plan B. They could break behind the bars. Still, churches have been closed and other institutions, they had their plan B. You mean they have not been going to churches and mosques? People have been going there and they have been performing the prayers accordingly. They had their plan B. Still, the kids were closed at one time. They had their plan B. Still, as education institutions, as people in the education sector, for instance, the Chisitu, who can have something to add on the children, please, education stakeholders, let us devise the plan B. The local Ugandans are more than ready to follow the plan B that we shall put in place. But if we don't do that, still everything will remain the way it is. To the parents outside there, I just urge you all, please try as much as you can to keep our children very safe. To the world outside there, some of you, you're unlucky that you're not in Uganda and you're not in a position of seeing what is happening in Uganda physically. But what is on the ground is that children on different villages are meeting somewhere, are meeting in some places to study. What are they studying? They are studying tailoring. They are studying those hands-on things. And it is the parents who are doing all of that. And I think that is what we can do right now to save the country. People are meeting, and therefore, education in Uganda, let us have the plan B to have the Ugandan children saved. Still, the moderator, as I conclude, I could say that all the brothers and sisters in the diaspora, we need your support. We need to make sure that we sensitize our brothers and sisters. We need to try as all the avenues possible such that we can own our country once again. We need to try as much as we can to make Uganda regain its glory. We need to make sure that our sisters and brothers who are crying outside, most especially in the Middle East, please, we need to struggle as much as we can and we save them. It is us who can save them. We have the opportunity that we can be on this platform. We spread all this gospel to very many. Let us stop the divisionism. That divisionism is always put in us by those ones who want to keep themselves in power for so long. But it is us who should see, who should open up our eyes and we see, who should try as much as we can. And we put our country to another level. As I conclude, the moderator, Dr. Duko, I would like to thank the management of UNN for this opportunity. Still, we should not stop. We should always continue to agitate for change, to agitate for change. We are the people who will suffer. We are the people who are suffering. We are the people who are going to be with our sisters who have not gone to school, our brothers who have not been to school. But how are we going to survive with them? I beg to submit. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chitu. Thank you very much. I believe members of viewers are ready to participate in this show as we try to wind up for the show. Let me have one voice, some of the voices here, and then we can listen to it and then respond to.
Mr. Juko, we appreciate your work and I believe everything is fine. I thank also Mr.
I wonder whether everybody is hearing.
Kisitu. He has been very articulate.
Okay. Let's have a video, I mean an audio, and then we see it from there.
Mr. Juko, we appreciate your work and everything is fine. I thank also Mr. Kisitu. He has been very articulate. I also thank Lawrence. Lawrence has given us a very clear picture. My name is Dennis from Holland. My concern is that these children that go out of this country, they have advantages and disadvantages. And these advantages might be higher than the disadvantages. I think the government has to work on it and see that they cover up them when they go there. I think that is on the point of education. It's only Uganda where we have our children not going to school. Most of these countries, I think when I saw the data was saying that it's 7 countries in the world, Uganda included, that are not having their children out for school. What is very intriguing is that those that are not going to school are within Kampala and the Uganda area. Other areas, especially in the West, I happen to be having children as well in Uganda, but they are going to school. So I think it is an intended plan to suffocate and derail the people of Uganda. When you go to other places in the north, there also some schools are going on, and even international schools. I know some international schools that are having classes going on. So I think we need to be very careful when looking at this. This government seems to be not catering or caring about the people of Uganda. So we need to be very, very careful, and then finally we shall be able to, examine exactly what we should do. Thank you very much. We appreciate all your work, and we hope we shall be part of you all the time. Thank you.
I think you have had that one. Anybody wants to comment? Let's have another one. Do you want, Mr. Mutebi, do you want to comment about that?
I would like to thank the guy, the person who has the. I would like to thank Henry for his very good analysis and his good points. On the first point where I've said that the outflow of the younger people, the youth from Uganda, it is beneficial. Yeah, it would be beneficial, but when it is not like it is happening now, it is the people in the government having the companies which are exporting these people. And it's the government which impoverishes these people, which don't give them jobs here at home. They don't think about creating jobs for these people. These people go training and then they go on street. So going out would be a deliberate thing. It would be something, somebody who, your choice. You just decide to say, I would like to go out, maybe for some reason and whatever. But not like this kind of, it is a plan that we don't create jobs in Uganda, and then we create some companies to export these people out. And then we bring refugees to replace them. So this is the kind of tricky thing that, as I told you, that Museveni is the person who you can find having killed somebody or have done something on the street, on the bush, let me say, in where I grow from. These people can go and do some wrong things in the bush there. And when you come, you find them pulling their pants up, whatever. Museveni is the person who would find him pulling his pants and say, no, you are the one who have done that. You are the one who have done that thing. So he's creating this situation in Uganda to impoverish these people as an intention. It is the intention that they have to make sure they control, to make sure that they do what? To ensure that everybody else is poor so that they could be controlled and respect the group. So they are doing it deliberately. They are doing it as per their plan to impoverish these people, to deny them jobs. They don't create jobs for them. They create jobs for even outsiders, but not for them. And then they say, we have companies to take you over there. And these companies, they get the owners of these companies which exports these people benefits even more than the people being exported, people who are being sent out of the country. So for me, I wouldn't say that the government should improve on something. They cannot improve it because their intention is not to help these indigenous people. You look, go and check those people who are going. Are they? Is there anyone who's not who's from their clan, their family, or the whatever? These people in the power, in the government. The people who are going are the people from very poor families now in Uganda. The people who are suffering, they contribute, they get some money from where they raise, they do some fundraising, someone to go. And when somebody goes and say, now I'm on I'm where? So everybody is looking to get something from him or from her. So this is not the country, the type of government you would like to have in Uganda. So I would say that it is not the government to help, or it is we should not support that outflow of our people, our youth. The moment you leave that vacuum, if you remove the youth, that means you are failing the country. That is what happened.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chigonya. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's what I have.
Thank you very much. Let me bring Mr. Kisitu. We want to have something about the question from Henry. Mr. Kisitu, do you have any point you want to add on?
Yeah, thank you so much. To add on the issue of labor in the Middle East, I think that is I'm on point. As I was submitting my views about this, I'm sorry I got some interruptions, technical interruptions, but finally I think I'm back. Thank you so much, the doctor. I remember saying that, looking at the point of effects to those who have been taken, our brothers and sisters, there is always a very big family gap that is created. Though WhatsApp is there, Facebook is there, you can talk to your father, you can talk to your mother, you can talk to your relatives and so on. But there is that internal family touch that you always miss out, sincerely. And you feel that you're touched so much, you feel that you're tormented so much. I don't know whether people in government think about that. Still, about the effects, to those brothers and sisters, we have seen this loss of lives. Many of them have died. Many of them have died without clear reasons being given. And those ones who are lucky, their bodies are always brought back in the country. But there are those who are not even known that they even died. And people, their relatives are there stranded. And still other effects to those ones who are taken to work in the Middle East. There is always their rights are always deprived from them. They don't get the actual rights they're supposed to have. A few have got their rights, but very many of our brothers and sisters in the Middle East don't get the rights they're supposed to. Some are not even paid the way they are supposed to be paid. I heard of the story that they take you, some of them are taken, their passports are confiscated, you can't even access it anywhere, communication is blocked. They are there and they are not paid what they're supposed to get. And any person cannot just come up and say that, please, the ABCD people went willingly. The situation forces you. We should understand the push and pull factors. The push factors, they are those that are put in they are put in the country by the government, such that you're forced to leave and go. They push you and go. No one has ever been pushed and feels so happy. Pushing is evil. Pushing is bad. And we have the pull factors. The other side, they think, yes, there is money is being paid. Yes, kade kaninye kunyonyi somewhere. Zenafanga sirinye kunyonyi. Pull factors. They pull them, they go expecting that there is something that is better than what is in the country. But most of them have ended up lamenting. Another disastrous effect to our brothers and sisters in the Middle East. loss of craftsmanship. They studied, yes, the skills, yes, they acquired, yeah, but are they in the professions like how my Mr. Chigonya said it properly? Mr. Chigonya should be my very big relative somewhere there. You know, the clan people, Mr. Chigonya should be. Loss of craftsmanship. I think let me leave it at that. Then still Uganda itself, we have the brain drain. Brain means a loss of professional skilled people to some other country. Then by looking at this, how does a government which is dictatorial, which is autocratic in nature benefit? The first way how this government benefits, one, the youth are always made not to understand their country. They failed completely to understand how their country is run, how their country goes, how rich is their country, what are those resources they can exploit, how can they invest, where to invest, which places are so profitable and so on. They completely fail to understand that. And that is enough to make the dictator keep himself into power. After all, you don't understand your country. You hear the dictator saying that Uganda turns so kumpomera. I remember it is the president himself making that phrase. Himself is Uganda muomera, but the rest, what are we enjoying from Uganda? Then we hear the minister saying that the economy of Uganda is sweet. Oversweet means what? We even ask ourselves. We don't know what even it means. Then the other, the youth who can work, who have got the energy, who have got the zeal, they are not involved in policy making. They don't get that opportunity. Even if they come back in Uganda as senior citizens, they understand nothing to do with the policy making. How will they run the country? How will they nurture the young generation sincerely? Then that means that there is a given class somewhere which is created, like how Mr. Chigonya put it properly. That will be the country to control it. Then the other, how the government gains. The government fight is actually gains by fighting against that population that would oppose it in the future. Because after all, they want to create their own dynasty. Younger children who are so fertile that can produce are not in the country. Those outside, if it is a girl or a lady, has only one child who has not been parented so well. If it is a boy has one child or two children or three children who are left in Uganda just to move like as if the offspring is overseas, to move anywhere, and they cannot do anything in the country. So the government benefits. That population that would oppose it is so ignorant. It was never nurtured. It was never parented because their parents were in the Middle East striving to look for a livelihood. Still, the government, the dictator, gains by fetching all the resources to themselves. And those who would look at them are not in the country. So they are gaining in that way. What is the economic implication? That's the other question. What is the economic implication of the children, the younger boys and girls, that's brothers and sisters abroad? The government taxes them. One of the colleagues talked about that. What is the tax being used for? Who takes the tax? That is a very big question. Because if Uganda was receiving that tax very well, we would not do with these infrastructures that we have currently. Then still, economically, the people abroad in the Middle East will never own anything in the country, which at the end leads to development of a new sector in the country called the Abafere. Who are the very many people occupying that sector of the Abafere? Please just find out. You will hear the names, and the names will tell you where they come from. And they tend to fix that on other names of K, of Na, which do not even have the access to Kufera the people. It is those people. The Kufera is at a level which can only be reached, I think, by an angel somewhere who can reach there. But to some of us, we can't reach there. Then the social implication, what does it mean? Single mothers are there. Children without anyone to nurture them, they are there. Very many of them. Still, no future for Uganda. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Mr. Juko, for the show. I appreciate your role in this discussion and also appreciate Lawrence and Mutebi and as well as Mr. Chisitu. My point of concern is about the problems that we have. Much as we are very skeptic about what is happening, I think we should also know that regardless of the problem these people face there, they have a lot of money they bring in. I think Mr. Lawrence has been very clear and brought in very important issues of how the money inflow because of these people that go out. I think what the government has to do is to make sure that they improve all these systems, try to give security, as Dr. Juko said, and then they will be able to have a lot of many people that go outside and then bring in money. Another thing is that most of the money that they bring in is needs to, they have to build security. They have to be with the banks are bringing a lot of issues now, and some people are complaining of their money. Thank you very much. I would add on that. Thank you. Mr. Juko, we appreciate your work and we believe every.
I think that is a. Let me have a video from. We wind up with this video from President. Let me ask my producer to make that video, and we wind up.
TV tonight. President Yoweri Museveni, together with the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports Janet Museveni, have this evening addressed teachers at State House Entebbe. Museveni first expressed his sympathy for the challenges that have been faced by teachers during the lockdown, but noted that protecting the lives of learners from COVID-19 was paramount.
We had to kunzia our children, to put them where there was no this danger. And in 9 months, I have not heard that any child has died from corona. When you are talking, oh, the children got pregnant there. Okay, if they got pregnant, at least they are alive. Don't talk like children, please. Oh, they got pregnancy. What? Fine, fine. Pregnancy doesn't kill, it causes some problems. But it's not the same thing as dying.
Now, as government prepares to reopen the learning institutions for candidates and other finalists, Museveni has warned teachers and the heads of these institutions to comply with the guidelines that have been given.
We now think that it is safe to open for only the candidate classes. But don't say that we remain paralyzed because some people are not implementing COVID. No, they must implement. This is a war. We are in the war. We are in a war where 1 million people in the world have died.
Minister of Education and Sports Janet Museveni has also reassured teachers in private education institutions that all efforts have been undertaken to ensure that they get the 22 billion shillings that was given to them by the president.
We have discussed this with the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development, the Microfinance Support Center, together with the leadership of the teachers from private institutions and UNATU, to discuss these bottlenecks preventing teachers from accessing this money.
At the same event, the Director of Public Health at KCCA, Dr. Daniel Okello, has reassured teachers that the closure of schools in the event that a learner or a member of staff tests positive for COVID-19 will only be a last option.
As we are working on the SOPs with the Ministry of Education, the principle was to have continuity of learning. So closing of a school will be an extreme measure. It won't be the first option.
Learning is expected to resume on the 15th of this month. Joyce Nakato, NTV Tonight. President Yoweri Museveni.
What we should note in the presidential address, the address which he made, it was really very intriguing. Really, Mr. President, it's okay for our children to get pregnant because you think COVID is going to eat them? I mean, it's worse. How many children have died of COVID? I think science has told us clearly that very few children that are caught by COVID die. That's the clear picture in the world. Really, Mr. President? And you say that the children is okay for them to have pregnancy, regardless. I mean, that we are protecting them from COVID. I think that's not right. That's not right. I would give Mr. Lawrence some time, like 5 minutes, to wrap up. I think you didn't talk about the school, but we seem to be caught up by time. Talk a little about it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Juko and fellow guests, Mr. Herbert and Mr. Arias. Well, I've been listening to all your commentary, and you've at least tried to elaborate this issue and given it due attention as need be to enlighten people out there about how you view the situation on the ground and how the government is actually, reacting towards children being out of school, and also even the issue of the children in the Middle East. Of course, yes, we're losing a lot of talent, that we can agree, but I told you it's not all in bad faith. There is some good, but it seems like the bad so many times outweighs the good. What I could say, I think I'll just conclude on the president's issue, since we've given enough time for the issue of the children in the Middle East. For the schools, I mean, it's exactly what it is. What you had, what you're seeing, that is the reality. We can debate and keep saying this isn't supposed to happen, this is not happening, this should never have happened, but all these other situations that we are wishing would be the situation on the ground, that is not exactly what is happening. The truth is, children have been at home for over close to 2 years. There isn't any clear kind of strategy to reverse that and maybe use alternative kinds of methods that are in tune to the global village we all live in today. Someone hinted about the radio distribution program for schools. I think we discussed that and we debunked it just on first glance. That is it. I don't want to use a harsh word, but that's really stupid. You thinking that you can teach children on radio? I think in this day and age, you must really be dreaming. I think at some point they'll try to give lessons on TV. It used to be, I think, former Sanyo TV, one of those stations in the past. They try to give lessons on TV. You could try to follow, but it's one class a day for one section. There is not enough airtime, and who's going to pay for it anyway? These media houses don't charge small dollars or small shillings for programs like this if you're going to have teachers teaching the whole day. Remember, children are supposed to be in class for at least 6 to 8 hours a day. Who's going to pay for that? And I think the TV stations might lose viewership. You might think that the children are going to study, but the moment you leave the TV on, they will go for other things that are more interesting. Now, of course, I think there's some kind of lack of remorse from the leadership. It's not even some, it is a lot of kind of contempt for the whole schooling or learning system per se. Because you can't say that, yes, the children have been kept safe, and that is why you're celebrating that they are safe. Well, let me tell you, even if you are not the president, they would still be and probably safer, and they will still be safe. You cannot say that you're guaranteeing their security because you're not exactly guarding everyone's home. Well, you've given a mandate to protect everyone, and we all know how far that goes. it's not the same situation for people who are suffering for the Vijambia, and all these are people who are facing all insecurities all over. All Ugandans facing insecurities. But just dwelling on the issue, he brings out that, no, it's okay, yes, they're safe, although they got pregnant and all these other issues. Really, the two don't mix. Pregnancy is all in the other area of health and reproduction. I think they should have discussed that in a whole other segment than trying to push the point in education. It doesn't go well. I mean, we all know that if you are going to school, pregnancy should not be the first priority, because you're in school to learn, gain skills that you're going to use, knowledge that you're going to use out there in the world. Then the children can come in later. But if at all, maybe for the president sees that as something desirable outcome, it's rather unfortunate that we have leaders who think this way. But again, that shows you how far or where Uganda is in reality. This is exactly what it is. That's why I'm telling you people that what you're seeing is exactly what the reality is. There's no priority. You're not going to have all these other programs that we're thinking about. I thought they use technology, they try to use Zoom. People here are paying expensively for Teams and Zooms. It's why even the stock prices for those applications have gone high. Why? It's because the world is actually using them. The workforce has now migrated to Teams. And I think Skype has been decommissioned in many places, and I think it's not working as well. People are moving in that direction. Some people are being paid just to be on Teams meetings the whole day. So why shouldn't our children also be using the same medium? Because if employees are not going to work and they're working remotely, they're working from home, why can't children study remote? But if we're to do that, how are we going to implement that? I think I oversaw a program, it was a government operation in Rwanda where they were giving out tablets. Today, I think Rwanda is in tune with what the global village demands. If they are taking measures like this, the question is, why not us? And I'll give you a scenario. This is just a food for thought as I conclude. If at all we were more interested in maybe keeping the children safe and everyone safe in the pandemic, I think that is the ultimate goal. Everyone is safe, and especially the children who are the future. We could say that, yes, we've not gone to school for now about a year or two. We can say we've been making some budgetary kind of savings. We could have said that maybe all that money is now diverted to the vaccines. Is that the case? It so happens that that is not the case. The vaccines we're getting are actually donations. So we're not even committing any funds per se to vaccinate. And I saw, I think there's a news headline of this week whereby you're losing about 65,000 doses of the corona vaccine that was meant to be distributed in Uganda. This is what would have helped the teachers, the health workers, the frontline workers, and maybe the children per se. But again, looking in a nutshell at where we're going to be at the end of the year, it doesn't look like we're going even to hit, I think, even 10% of the population. But remember, the school-going population is way over 60 or 80%. I already told you the statistics show that over 50% of the children we have are below 15. All those are supposed to be in school. Now, we don't even have the vaccines to cover that. So these strategies or tactics they're giving, all these speech services they're giving that they're airing every week or 2 or 40 days, 20 days, I don't know how many days, we're just stuck in our tracks. We're not really getting anywhere. But in a nutshell, if anyone out there really wishes to do well, I mean to do well by its people, the ministry could have taken a lead and be like, no, regardless of where the country is, we have to keep going forward. And then they go. But you see them, they're saying they're moving according to Vision 2040, the 10-point program. Those are things of the past. By the way, the 10-point program, there's nothing covering employment, and there's nothing covering education if you go and look through the points that were there. So maybe that is the other thing, that these were never priority in the first place. And that's why even now it just seems to be the same case, the same discussion we're having. They are not paying attention, they will pay attention. It's all a messed up system we're in. But I beg to leave my submission at that. I would like to thank all our viewers out there for giving us the time. Fellow panelists, I appreciate everyone's input who comes on the show. There is a lot to learn by the time you leave the show and expanding awareness out there for issues that are trending in our motherland. Thank you so much, Dr. Juko.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. It's a pleasure. We always like your analysis, and we think everything is going to be fine. Let me go to Mr. Chigonya. Can you say bye-bye to our viewers, Mr. David Chigonya?
To our viewers for being with us throughout the program, the tower. I would just remind the viewers that we have a launch in this coming month of the UFCC. So please go for it. You know that is the first step. Second step will be to go on the 3 warfares. That is the psychological, the spiritual, and the physical. And then the last one will be to establish or to do what? To announce to announce legal avenues of an armed struggle against the regime of the terror. Those people are like terrorizing Ugandans, terrorizing the indigenous people. So that is what we are planning. So viewers, I thank you very much for being with us at this time. And I would like to leave just a question to the 2 people who asked, who were for the youth to go out of the country for looking for jobs. I would like to ask them, look at our neighbors, Kenya, Tanzania, and other in Africa. Which countries are having such an outflow like Uganda? That means there must be something wrong. This is too much in Uganda. This is unbelievable. It is too much and unacceptable. If let me here, I would not go further. Thank you very much, Prince, for hosting us. And thank you very much, my fellow guests. I would like to have a special offline talk with the Mr. Kisitu Elias, because that name Kisitu means you are from Efumbe, and my mom is Efumbe. So there is something which we should discuss or talk about. So have a great one.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Chigonya. Thank you very much. Let me have the Fumbe man, Mr. Kisitu, finally, and give us your final remarks and say bye-bye to our viewers as we try to finish up what is.
Yeah, thank you so much. Sincerely, I'm so grateful to you, Dr. Juko. Thank you so much. And indeed, it will be your courtesy to make sure that we can have a private talk with Mr. Chigonya. My brother, Lara, please, I appreciate. Thank you so much for the submissions. Dr. Juko, please allow me. I thank these people. Sincerely, they follow us so much every now and then. They subscribe, they share the videos, they do everything. Chimba James Regan live in Dubai, please, thank you so much. Nagire Shamira over on live in Dubai. Kawasa Simon Peter live in Uganda. Please, thank you so much. And all other viewers, I can't really read the list. The list is endless. My phone is full of your messages.
There is also Mara who is always sending.
Following us. The dream is still there. Maokota note, please, anytime, don't worry, the dream is still there. With the support of Doctor, my mentor, my teacher, my father, please, thank you so much. I respect you so much. I beg to submit, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Kisitu. Thank you very much, Mr. Kisitu. It has been a pleasure that we have been having you tonight, and I'm so gratified with Mr. Chigonya and Lawrence for their effort. I cannot also forget to thank our producer, Dr. Samson Ogola, for the work that you are doing. For sure, you make a very good, you put on a lot of effort, and also our UNN team that helps us to get all this on air. You know, Ugandans, we have to know that this is our country. As usual, I mention of it. Everyone is responsible for making it a better place to live. Our role here is to come over and discuss some issues, and we get sense out of them. However, we also thank those that put in their money and also those that watch us all the time. There are a lot of programs that run around. We should participate in all of them and, you know, view them, share them out in all our platform. We are always live, and those that they bring over again, let's share them and all people know what is going on. We also, as Mr. Chigonya has mentioned, we have UFCC conference, which is due. We have to discuss a lot. The forms are going around, shared from all over the world. People are sending those forms to fill. Please fill those forms, and then we receive them. We get those emails, or send your email of intention to participate on ufcc@getunn.com. You can also contact me on that very phone that has been running on the has been running on. You can contact me over, and then we talk more. The discussion should continue as we close this session until Sunday when we meet again. But don't forget that is Henry Gombia. He was in the morning on, but you can watch it again as it comes. I thank you very much, all our viewers, our listeners, and everyone that participates in the show. Thank you very much. Hope to hear from you on next week. Have a blessed week. Have a blessed weekend. And God bless you. Thank you. Bye-bye.